Hello, my name is Devin Sumner. I'm an instructor at the Drum Lab. I actually recently just moved here from Florida, and I am so happy to be here. As far as my history with the drum set and why I play this instrument, it's the quintessential story of being a little kid and coming and being in like grandma's kitchen, grabbing some pots and pans and just playing, hitting everything. I remember even in middle school, I used to play like my fingers on the desk and my teacher would yell at me, "Devin, this is not band class." And so I knew that from that point, I wanted to do something with music. I honestly went through every single other instrument before I got to drums. I had a really good friend lived down the street from me that played guitar, he played bass, he played everything other than drums. And so I started with guitar, went to bass, and I actually picked up the violin for a little bit, and I realized that that is the hardest instrument ever, so I put that down almost as fast as I picked it up. Because I knew I wanted to play music, I just had gone through all of these other instruments, and I just realized it wasn't for me until my buddy Jesse let me step on his drum set and said, "Hey man, here, have a go at it." And I played that beat, boom boom cat, and from there I was sold. Flash forward about 12 years, I went through all of middle school, all of high school. I was very intimidated by the band scene, actually, like marching band and all of that. I kind of studied privately at home, and then finally when I was about 18 years old, I realized that I really wanted to learn the ins and outs of this instrument. So what I did is I actually started to pay, once I got into college, out of my own pocket. I started paying for private instruction from a very well-known Orlando instructor. His name is Buck McLeod. Older guy, jazz cat, he was like the go-to guy. He was the #1 call on everyone's list no matter what gig it was. But I basically studied with Buck for probably 2 or 3 years. I did take some online instruction. With the world that we live in today, everything is so accessible, and luckily we live in a world where we can actually reach out to some professionals. So I definitely reached out to Mike Johnston, I reached out to JP Bouvet, Dave Elich, Juan Carlito Mendoza. Those guys really did help me get to where I am today. One of my main influences was one of my best friends, Jesse, who actually was the kid that let me sit on his drum set. That was the first time I ever had to play or had the opportunity to play an acoustic drum set and not be in a music store and not have all the eyes on me and feel like there was a ton of pressure and all of that. But as far as a professional level, I definitely fell in love with the drummer from Tool, Danny Carey. He was one of my main influences when I was a kid. As far as today, some of my influences are more business-minded and peer-minded. I look up to guys that are essentially on the same journey as me and maybe aren't on magazine covers and are crushing the industry, but more importantly, they're actually striving for greatness. They're not just quitting and saying, "Okay, I can do this, I'm good." I really look up to the player that presses beyond and really wants to learn his or her craft. But as far as some of my favorite drummers, Benny Greb, JP Bouvet, Mike Johnston, we're talking Mark Juliana, Arthur Hinatek. Honestly, there's so many to name, but I would definitely check out all those. Oh, and Andy Fessenden. Definitely check out Andy Fessenden and Matt Gartzka as well. And that's it. My personal preferences for gear, I actually currently own a Tomastar Classic Birch Babinga. Absolutely love the sound of the Babinga. As far as sticks, I play Vic Firth 5Bs. I wanted a standard stick where I can go into any music store if I was ever on tour in any part of the world and just say, "Hey, do you have any 5Bs for me?" And I guarantee you they would. As far as cymbals, I play Meinl cymbals. I love the Sand series. I love anything vintage, anything a little bit gritty, dark, not your standard status quo cymbals. Like whenever I used to walk into a music shop, I would hit all of these other cymbal brands, which are great. They're fantastic brands. But what really spoke to me as a percussionist and a player was the Meinl line. Some of my personal principles on teaching and playing, I am a huge stickler for technique. I really think ergonomics is very important on the drum set as far as where your cymbals are set up, how much effort you're exerting whenever you have these specific movements, whatever music you're trying to play, whether it's rock, jazz, fusion, whatever it may be. I'm the kind of guy that likes to not move that much. I see a lot of guys that are really flamboyant with their movements, and I look up to that for sure, but that just wasn't my calling. As far as my teaching techniques, I like to teach a student the fundamentals of the instrument, give them their rudiments, and basically teach them the language of drumming and essentially give them a voice of their own to speak with, to where whenever you and I were learning how to speak, we didn't just read a book and then speak exactly like Mark Twain for the rest of our lives. We just did not do that. It's very important to have your own personal approach to that. You're going to mess around on the kit, you're going to play some things that are regurgitated from other professionals, and then more importantly, you're going to morph those things into the way that you want to say that. And I really, really like that point of view for professional drum playing.